Hi, Dr. Alex Loyd here, and welcome to the Spiritual Laws of Nature. Today, I'm going to share with you something that can literally flip your life upside down overnight. Can be that difference maker, that linchpin, that thing you look back on 20, 30 years from now, and remember that's when things changed for the better. Okay, and it's a meditation. Now, don't click it off yet because you've heard meditation a million times over the years, because this one's different. I call it the miracle meditation, and I've seen it do what I've never seen any other meditation do. Let me try to lay a foundation. Besides eating so many fruits and vegetables a day and getting exercise, the only thing in the entire psychology, self-help, natural health world that the United States government has ever encouraged people to do, endorsed, or even said was real is meditation. And literally decades ago, the United States government said you should eat so many fruits and vegetables, water, get some exercise, and meditation. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, all those other things are just, you know, daily stuff. But meditation, decades ago, to the government, that was a pretty cutting edge of them, at least at that time. But there's a reason for it. Meditation is thousands and thousands of years old, okay? And meditation is one of the natural health things where we literally have double-blind studies saying they work from a little bit to a whole lot and life-changing. Here's one example of that. This is a wonderful book by Herbert Benson, MD of Harvard. And he wrote this years ago. I should have looked at the copyright before to see how old this is. And 1997. But for some reason I thought it was even older than that. But anyway, for a couple of decades at least. And the reason this one was a bestseller is because Dr. Benson literally did double-blind studies on meditation. And the results were very dramatic, and his meditation was a very simple, easy, I mean, you would think Harvard and, you know, no. This is a very basic, simple kind of meditation. But even that had dramatic results when tested double-blind for your health, etc. Okay, let me lay a little groundwork. Meditation goes back, well, first, before I do that, let me go one other place. Most meditations work by distraction. Okay, and as does the one in Dr. Benson's book. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's the truth. So in other words, picture a little dot on a wall. Just sit and breathe deep and picture a dot on a wall for 30 minutes or an hour. Okay, first of all, that's not easy to do. To focus on that and nothing else. Or focus on a word, or focus on a picture of a flower, or something, okay? Well, the main way that is working to reduce your stress, to reduce your anxiety, etc., is it's distracting you. Instead of thinking about your money problem, or instead of thinking about the guy at work you don't like, or instead of thinking about your issues with your spouse or significant other, you're not thinking about the stressful thing while you're focused on the dot on the wall, or the word, or the flower, or whatever. And so it allows your mind to sort of start to reset and detox and start working the way it should again, it hasn't been because it's been suppressed by stress. The very first thing that stress does is turn your immune system off or down. So when you're distracted, you're not focused on the stressful thing, your immune system starts to come up, but remember, you're only doing it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Some do it for 3 or 4 hours a day, but that really just is kind of for that day. Meaning when you wake up tomorrow, you've got to do the same thing again because it really didn't heal anything. It just distracted your mind from the stress for a while, which helped a lot over the next few hours. But you haven't really fixed anything inside that's wrong. Okay, and I would say 95% of all meditations, almost all of them, work by distraction. Okay, thousands of years ago in Asia and in the Holy Lands, meditation began. At least those are the earliest 2 places I can find. And it's very, very fascinating story. And what I'm going to reference the Bible, but I want you to know this is not just for people who believe in Jesus. This meditation will work for anyone. It's been my experience. So here's where it starts. Thousands of years ago, it seems like it was about 6,000 years ago, something like that. In the Holy Lands, the ancient Hebrews had what were called schools of prophecy. And these went on for centuries, maybe millennia, okay? And in these schools, the students, for hours a day, would either sit in a certain position or lay prostrate on the floor, and they would focus on an image from the Old Testament in the Bible. And it's the Lord high and lifted up. And it describes what the Lord looked like, okay? And so the ancient Hebrews in the schools of prophecy would get in their position and meditate on that image, that picture of the Lord high and lifted up. Okay, well, that's not that much different from a lot of other meditations, right? Yes, it was. Because their desire in doing that, and from the book I read, it happened regularly, their desire was not to distract their mind to de-stress. Their desire and intention was to have a literal, one-on-one personal experience with God. And their belief and their hope is that that experience would transform them so that they could do what I would say have their very best life. And again, according to the book I read that cited all kinds of verifying documents, I think that book's out of print now, but it happened regularly. And now those schools gradually faded away. All right. Well, in the New Testament, that was the Old Testament. Let's shift forward now. There's kind of a parallel image to the one from the Old Testament. Okay? It's in Corinthians, where the Apostle Paul talks about meditating basically on the Lord high and lifted up. He says, with unveiled face as if in a mirror. And that word mirror, that's the only time it's used this way in the entire Bible. And it means magic mirror. Like the mirror in Snow White. Only this mirror would allow you to experience God, to see how God sees you inside, etc. And then the actual meditation were given in the very last book of the New Testament, Revelation. And here's what it said. The Apostle John had a vision, okay? And in his vision, he was in heaven with Jesus in the throne room. Okay? And he said his face was like the sun at midday. His voice was like the sound of rushing waters. Think Niagara Falls. And John was so terrified, it says, that he fell at his feet as if he were dead. Okay, so just imagine that for a second. Okay. Then it goes on. It says that Jesus, the Lord, put his hand on John and said, "Fear not, it is I, the one who was dead and is now alive forevermore, and I hold the keys of death and Hades." Well, death was basically physical health and life and death physically and things like that. Hades was more the spiritual life. Okay? So Jesus basically is saying, I've got the keys to everything you want. And he puts his hand on him, "Fear not, it is I." And in other places, of course, "I love you. I've got your back. I'm for you." Okay. So that's the meditation in Revelation 1. And I would go there and read it or Google it. And here's what I would say. I know that this is the spiritual law for anyone and everyone, not just for people who believe in Jesus. And it is. And there's a reason I shared this with you, knowing where it came from, because it seems to work for everybody. Okay? Whether they're an atheist, this kind of Christian, that kind of Christian, New Age, it seems to work for everyone. So what I would highly recommend is that you start doing a meditation that is that image from Revelation 1. You're not committing to follow Jesus. If you have a problem with that, you're not doing that, okay? All you're doing is meditating on this image, and if you don't believe in God or Jesus, then make a request of your heart that this will heal you and, take away your anxieties, fears, etc. Okay? And you can do that. You can make the request of your heart, but have the image that's from Revelation 1. So read that to see exactly the details for you to make that picture in your mind. Okay, here's the thing about this meditation. It's not working by distracting. It is an active meditation. And I would say that today, just as 6,000 years ago, when I do this meditation every day, I am going there for the miraculous, for a spiritual experience, for something that works in me almost like a near-death experience, and I'm changed. That takes away the darkness and puts in light. That takes away the falsehood and replaces it with truth. That takes away the fear, as Jesus said in that passage, "Fear not," and replaces it with love. Okay? That's my intention. And to literally have that experience. So every day I go there in my mind with this meditation. And if I have things I need to get off my heart, if I want to confess something, like I'm in AA or something, if I want to get something off my chest, if I want to make a request, this thing is really not going great in my life, I would ask you please help this thing to get better, whatever's on your heart, okay? And then I would have a period of time where you just be quiet and listen and wait to see if any miraculous, any spiritual, any transformation may happen with me here today. Okay? And I've rarely talked to anyone who has done this over a long period of time who has not had a very powerful spiritual experience that changed them. Not every day, I'm not saying that, but sooner or later, okay? I believe this is the most powerful meditation there has ever been in the history of the world. And I believe it will bust your stress and your anxiety and enhance your relationships and everything else in a very powerful way, to the point that you might not need anything else, okay? So if you do not believe in Jesus, I just want to make this clear. I'm not trying to convert you to that with this meditation. It's simply that I've probably tried 500 different meditations in my life, and this is by far the most powerful, and it works for people even if they don't believe in Jesus. And I've had a bunch that did that. So I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to do a bait and switch here. This is genuinely, I believe, a miraculous, active meditation that can change your life. So try it this week and give me some feedback. Let me know how it's going, and have a wonderful, blessed day.